boy.
What's going on, kings and queens? Back again with Castle Sports Talk. Here with my bro Ram. How you doing, Ram?
I'm alright. Excited about these predictions we're about to make, these bold predictions.
Yes, sir. We're doing bold predictions today. We're talking about the NFL. 2 bold predictions each. And when I say bold, I don't mean the Patriots are going to win the division. Or I don't mean, some
ordinary ESPN, no offense to anybody over there, but regular old prediction.
I'm talking bold, but when we say this, we expect you to have a reaction to your face. But we're going to back it up with logic and any other reasons that we may have. But it is what it is. We'll see how that goes. But what you think about Pat Bev being traded to the Lakers?
I think this is a good pickup for the Lakers. When they won the bubble championship, which everyone for whatever reason puts an asterisk on. When they won the lockout NBA championship, they did it with defense. They had guys like Avery Bradley around, guys who are willing to D up. Even Rajon Rondo, we know he plays defense in the playoffs once he gets there. So they had guys that were able to stay with guys on the perimeter. And if they ever got beat, they had guys down low ready to back them up. So LeBron James really didn't have to exercise himself on the defensive end of the floor. I think Patrick Beverley brings a lot of that stuff for 3-and-D guys.
I love his energy, man. For all the crap people talk about him, I love his energy, man. So I think
he's a good LeBron guy.
They don't need him offensively.
Yeah, he's a good LeBron guy.
He's a good
post
LeBron.
Up in the corner, make the shots when we give them to you, and then at the other end play your heart out.
Yeah, he makes open shots, plays his heart out.
I would have taken him over Russell Westbrook last year if I was the Lakers.
What you think about KD staying with the Nets, not coming to Boston?
I don't know how much of that was his choice. I am saying this from a biased Boston Celtics fan perspective, but we gave him the whole 5-star recruitment, and he already turned us down. I don't see how.
Years back, right? A couple years ago.
Yeah. Before when it was us or Golden State. People forget that it was us or Golden State. It was one. We were one of the two, and we brought Tom Brady out, David Ortiz, the Wahlbergs. Everybody came out, and that was the reason we signed Al Horford. People forget that too. We signed Al Horford because KD said he liked him.
Yep.
And he said no to us once. I don't think it was ever really serious that he'd come to us.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of top stars don't love Boston. They don't love Boston. Even LeBron said the only team he'll never play for is Boston.
Yeah. And it's not that we don't try. We brought guys over like Kemba and Gordon Hayward and now Horford, but other guys like Kevin Love and KD. Kevin Love was at Howl at the Moon. And supposedly he was howling at the moon. He had a great time just for him to say no. So we get the interviews. We don't close the deals. Boston isn't the greatest city guys want to come and live in.
Tom Brady starting his preseason finale. I think he's just doing that to you guys want to make national media news about me going on a 2-week vacation. All right, so I'll just start the final preseason game. Make the media happy. He was upset that the media was blowing it out of proportion, so he's like, I'm going to make y'all happy and start the final preseason game. I think that's all that talk about him being out for 2 weeks is all BS.
I think so too, but let's have some racial equality here, and it should be BS for whatever race you are. This is the first time that Brady actually caught some flack for that. But as we know, if this would have been an African-American player, it would have been the same reaction. So I'm glad Brady got this media reaction. I'm glad that we didn't just see him on vacation and sit here and say, oh, well, it's Tom Brady. Because had it been Antonio Brown or Odell Beckham Jr. on his boat trip, we wouldn't be saying those. Now, that was obviously a little bit different. You shouldn't be doing that going into a playoff game. This is preseason we're talking about. But, it should be all fair and love and warm when it comes to the flack the media gives you.
That's fair. Good take. Tyron Smith, Pro Bowl left tackle for the Cowboys, out until December/January with an avulsion fracture of the knee. Does that mean your Redskins are now guaranteed to win the NFC East?
I think Philly has a better shot. You know, we don't wish injuries on nobody. You know, I want to see guys play the game. But that's a blow.
So you're not one of those people that think Redskins. You're not one of those Redskins fans that think Redskins winning the division flat out. That's it, or you think Philly got a good shot?
I think Philly has a tremendous shot to win the division. I like their team, and their D-line has been wreaking havoc on quarterbacks since they last won a Super Bowl, and they haven't stopped since. I don't feel as if they get enough credit. And you know, there are some. There's a team like this in every division that has a really decent squad, no quarterback, and they can get middle of the pack to above average quarterback play. Why not? I can see them being Dallas twice with that.
Word. I think that's a big blow for Dallas. I think Dallas is not in good shape. People still respect and like their team. I respect and like their defense. I'm not so sure about their offense. Their offensive line is not what it used to be. I don't know if Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard are going to have the holes they used to have. Obviously, Amari Cooper's gone. CeeDee Lamb is the head honcho there. Michael Gallup with his injuries. Dak Prescott, I don't care what stats he puts up. I was never convinced with his play. I don't know, Dallas. That offense is looking pretty shaky. But on to the bold predictions. Any last things you wanted to say?
No, let's go. Let's get right to it.
Yeah, we don't want this to be a super long video. By the way, drinking a smoothie made by my bro. Let's get it on. Who shall go first? You or I? I or you?
I'll go first. You can go last.
You want to do? We're doing two bold predictions.
Yeah, so 1-1-1-1.
All right, go. You go first.
So my first bold prediction is Jacksonville Jaguars will not only be in the running for a wild card spot, they will make it to the playoffs this year in a wild card spot.
You have to please explain. Out of the bottom three teams, I think Jacksonville is still the most bottom. So please go ahead.
The reason I'm gonna say this, as much as I don't want to compare and contrast different teams in the NFL because every situation is different down to the players. But the Jaguars in 2021 finished with 3 wins. The Bengals in 2020 finished with 4. The Bengals had and drafted a top quarterback coming out of the draft in Joe Burrow. The Jaguars drafted Trevor Lawrence. If you go look at the 2020 Bengals versus the 2021 Jaguars, it's about the same, more or less, when it comes to rushing attempts, how many yards you got, the offenses, the defenses. They're bottom 25 to 32 in the league. Either 25, 26, 27, 28, down 32 in every major statistical category. So what happens? Well, those teams, if you're fans of those teams, and you go look at the depth chart, you know you got some pieces. You might not have a stellar D-line, but you got a guy.
You got pieces.
You might got 2.
You got pieces.
Offensive line, you might not have a top 12 offensive line, but your center's a Pro Bowler and your left tackle is above average in the league. They got guys in every single position. And when you get good enough coaching and you can coach some of that depth up to perform, all you got to do is be in games. I think Jacksonville Jaguars, with the departure of Urban Meyer, with I know Trevor Lawrence being a phenomenal talent that we've yet to scratch the surface on, and with them having guys, they just drafted 2 linebackers this year. Now they let 2 go, but they drafted 2 first-round linebackers this year, which are going to be good against the pass, great against the run. With a defensive end, they had drafted just the other year as well.
Yeah, they lost Miles Jack, but they picked up a really good linebacker from Atlanta.
Their secondary isn't phenomenal, but they got a good free safety and they got a good top corner.
Who's their cornerback?
Their corner is, oh my God, I'm blanking out on the name. But they got a decent top corner. I think it's a junior in his name. So they got pieces at every position on the board. So if they can just be in games, if they can run the ball effectively and cancel out on the turnovers. Now the turnovers were really bad last year. But how many years are you going to go 32nd? If you can just get the turnovers to top 20, top 22, I don't see why you can't have a wild card spot. The Bengals did it with almost the exact same roster you guys have. It made it to the Super Bowl. I'm not even predicting Super Bowl. I'm predicting a wild card spot. Just make it to the playoffs. I would even go as far as to say they have a shot to win a division. Tennessee is one of those other teams that have guys. Every one of the position groups aren't the most. They don't have the most depth, but they got guys and they perform, up to their talent. So that's what I'm gonna go with. Jacksonville Jaguars making the playoffs in 2022. Probably first round exit. That's cool, but not to cross sports. Football's a little like baseball, where you get into October hot, anything can happen.
Well, they have my guy. They have
ETN Jr. Yeah.
No, on defense they have my guy Rayshon Jenkins. He's a former Charger. He's a great player. We just didn't re-sign him because we have Derwin James and Nazir Adderley. But he's been showing out in camp. He's one of my favorite pieces on their defense. Obviously, we know what their offense got. Obviously, they got Trayvon Walker. I think their defense is bad, but look at their offense. They got a good offense. Marvin Jones, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones. Yeah, they might have overpaid for Kirk and Jones, but they're still good at the end of the day. They're coming, they're showing up for the Jaguars. So they got a good wide receiver core, ETN, James Robinson. They have Cam Robinson, one of the best left tackles in the league, Brandon Scherf, Trevor Lawrence. I think they could surprise some people.
I think it's Tyson Campbell, the cornerback I was thinking of.
And it's interesting you went to a lowly team last year making that big jump, because that leads to my bold prediction. My bold prediction will be that the Atlanta Falcons I won't say they will make a playoff spot, but I will say they will fight for the wild card. They will finish second in the NFC South behind Tampa Bay. And I also think, just to add on to that bold prediction, I think Marcus Mariota will be the second highest graded in terms of PFF quarterback in that division, behind Tom Brady, above Jameis Winston, above, who's the other team in the NFC South? You got the Falcons.
Carolina?
And Carolina over Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. And I think Marcus Mariota, obviously, you will probably think Mariota's worse than Mayfield, Darnold, and Winston. And my reasoning for Marcus Mariota is I don't have stats for it. I don't have stats for it. Just look at the film. Look at the film this preseason. Look how he's rolling out from his play actions. Look at the zip he has on his throws. Look at his avoidance of turnovers. You can see the experience ooze out in his play. Like, this dude knows how to play. Look at his film from his one game started in Oakland. I think it was like a Week 17 game, and they just started Mariota. Yeah. It was against my Chargers. He played good. And it's like, whoa, he made some real NFL throws.
So you're going completely off of eye test?
I'm going off of the eye test. I'm going off of the eye test and intuition. I think Mariota got pieces around him offensively. They don't have the best offensive line, but they plugged in players. They brought in competition. They have one of the best running back rooms in the NFC, I believe, with Cordell Patterson, Damian Williams, and a new rookie I love. He's been showing out this preseason, Tyler Algier. Come on, Mookie. They have probably the best wide receiver. Probably. I guarantee Drake London will have the best career out of all the wide receivers in that draft class. Even including my guy, George Pickens. They have the best wide receiver in the draft class. They have Marcus Mariota, who I think will have a great season, a great running back room. Their defenses was interesting. They picked up Lorenzo Carter. He's their edge guy that they've finally been looking for. He's not a 10-sack guy, but he got 5 sacks last year. And I think if another edge rusher shows out from one of their high draft picks, he will be an amazing edge 2. For any team, he could be an amazing edge 2. I think he's just a good, solid edge, and we know how important that position is. They got my guy again, talking about the Chargers, Casey Hayward. He went into San Diego Chargers, revamped that whole secondary. Yeah. Revamped the whole secondary. He went to Oakland last year. I believe he made a Pro Bowl. If he didn't make a Pro Bowl, he had a very good year, and he helped Oakland become a very vaunted pass defense. They were a vaunted pass defense last year. I think fantasy-wise, they were like top 10.
So can I ask you a question about Marcus Mariota?
What?
So I like Marcus Mariota, but I don't love Marcus Mariota. I liked him because he can win you some games. We seen that when he was a starter in Tennessee. He can win you some games. He can run. He can roll out the pocket. He doesn't have a terrible arm. He might not be the greatest quarterback predicting pressure or going through his reads, but he may have improved on it the last couple of years. You know, you never stop working in the NFL.
He's a veteran.
Yeah, he's a vet.
He's
now.
a veteran. He's
well,
experienced.
I'm talking about when he was still on his rookie contract. He's a vet now, so a lot of things may have changed. However, do you think his quality of maybe he's not going to lose you a game? Because before he used to lose you games. I feel like if he has to take that next jump, that would be the thing he has to get over the hump, where he's not going to be the reason you lost.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to avoid turnovers. He's not going to have those 3 interception games. They have Desmond Ridder, a rookie. I think Desmond Ridder, being a rookie, you know, might potentially have those 3 interception games. I don't think we'll see those games from Marcus Mariota.
Where it's 2 and toes a fumble.
He's going to avoid losing. And the Saints are like a shoo-in for finishing second in that division. And I think that's puzzling for a team that's full of question marks. A team that's full of question marks. An offense that doesn't have Sean Payton anymore. Jameis Winston, whose whole career is a question mark. Alvin Kamara, who's a question mark for his legal troubles. They've lost their anchor in their offensive line, Teron Armstead, to the Dolphins. Their whole offensive line is now a question mark. You can't just bring in Trevor Penn and think he's going to do what Armstead did. Their offensive line is a question mark. And their defense is still really good. But I don't think it's going to be good enough to finish second in that division. I think Falcons' defense obviously was terrible last year, but they brought in Rashawn Evans from Tennessee, who's has a great track record in the NFL, has great film. They drafted 3 linebackers in the top 3 rounds. Their linebacker core is pretty solidified. Their secondary, like I said, they have Casey Hayward and A.J. Terrell, rising star. I think he graded out as a top 10 cornerback as a rookie last year. Top 10 cornerback as a rookie. And they brought in their safety, and they brought him back to compete with all these young other safeties. I think they're the second best team in the South.
In defense of New Orleans is very confident in New Orleans. That is a extremely confident bunch in what they're capable of doing on the football field. Especially to teams like especially in their own division. Especially in their own division, teams like Tampa and Atlanta and Carolina. New Orleans very rarely loses to their own division.
So we both got 2 bottom teams. Overperforming. That's our first bold prediction. Wait, did you want to go first for the second one?
So you can go last, yeah.
All right, go ahead. What's your next bold one?
So my next bold one prediction is on the AFC West. So my bold prediction is I'm going to go ahead and say the Denver Broncos are going to come through and upset and win the division.
Oh, man.
And I'm going to say this for a couple of different reasons. We know the obvious reasons on the revamped roster, mainly the revamped quarterback position. And we know how valuable a competent quarterback is. Never mind one that can go out and win you a football game, like Russell Wilson. Out of Russell Wilson's 10 seasons in the NFL, the only quarterback with more wins in those first 10 seasons is Peyton Manning. 8 out of those 10 seasons, the man has either made the playoffs or won his division. In a division in which was the most competitive, or arguably the most competitive division in the NFL while he was there. So he's going from there to what is now the most competitive division in the NFL. The man doesn't run away. He's not scared. But I don't even want to talk about Russell Wilson. What I do want to talk about is the rest of the roster. Now, if they can just be healthy, which as we know in the NFL is a huge thing, but if they can just be healthy, mainly the Bradley Chubbs of the world, who missed 24 games already in his career, mainly the Jerry Judys of the world, or even the Cortland Sutton's. But they got 3 wide receivers who are arguably 1,000-yard receivers. So do some of the other teams in the AFC West.
Who are the three receivers?
Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy.
Patrick's going for the year.
Oh, is he? I wasn't even sure. Well, they still got two. Other than that, they can let go of guys such as Von Miller, having guys like Bradley Chubb, like Patrick Surtain Jr., and other guys who are performers. They have a bunch of performers. And for them to consistently go 7 wins, 8 wins, 9 wins with a plethora of just, I hate to be offensive, but recycle bin quarterbacks. Recyclable quarterback that some of them shouldn't even be in the NFL. For them to upgrade that for Russell Wilson, they went 7-10 last year. If you don't think Russell Wilson is a 4 to 5 game upgrade from the Drew Locks of the world, then we shouldn't even be talking football. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs won the division the last 5 years, the AFC West, with an average of 12 wins. I think the Denver Broncos can get there. Before the Kansas City Chiefs won that division 5 straight years, the Broncos, or 6 straight years, whatever it was, the Broncos had won it 4, with another average of 12 wins. 12 seems to be the magic number. Some years the Chiefs have 13. 12 seems to be the magic number. I think Denver can do that, and I think Denver also, other than the Chargers, have the second best, but can perform as the top level defense in that division. And they can keep up offensively now with Russell Wilson. I think those games I think they're going to beat up on each other. I think those games are going to be great. But the main part of this argument is who came in last year in that division? The Denver Broncos. Which means the teams they play this year, the extra teams, are who? The other teams who came last. They play the Houston Texans. They play the Jacksonville Jaguars. They play the Carolina Panthers. They play the New York Jets. There's 4 or 5 teams on that schedule. You're going to tell me Russell Wilson can't beat? Who do the Chargers and the Chiefs have to play in those respective divisions? The Bills? The Pats, even though I'm not great in the Pats. Tampa? I mean, these aren't easy teams. These aren't easy games in which to win. So I'm going to go ahead and say, come through Russell Wilson in the clutch, AFC West title with 12 to 13 wins, the Denver Broncos. That's my second.
You're confident with 12 to 13 wins? Do you submit your answer?
Yeah.
Oh, man. They're going to probably finish last in that division. That's what I think. Vic Fangio, this is just the Charger in me. Vic Fangio, one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, who everywhere he goes, they become a top 5 defense. I think him leaving is going to be huge for that defense. I think they're a team that we need to wait for next year. I think they're a team that we need to wait for them to gel, figure out their defense again, have Russell Wilson vibe with his quarterback, and I think we wait for next year. But I'm not mad at it. You have pretty good logic, and they do have a good roster. I feel like any other division, they will finish first.
Yeah, they're not a bad team. So what's your last bold prediction?
I don't know. I'm trying to think if mine is as bold as yours, but I don't think so because I think a lot of people have your opinion. I mean, I think mine might be more bold because a lot of people I've heard Denver
higher than Denver.
But I also heard people say Denver are coming in last. It's just like depends who you ask. But my final bold prediction is in terms of fantasy purposes, I believe Kirk Cousins will finish as a top 5 quarterback in terms of fantasy.
Oh, I was going to say in the NFL.
In terms of fantasy, he will finish a top 5. He's had 35 touchdowns. He had 35 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last year, 4,200 yards. In his entire career as a starter, he's finished with under 4,000 yards once, which was I think like 3,700. He's thrown for 4,900 yards one year. His last year with Washington, so we know his ceiling, we know his floor, which both are really, really great, to say the least. His numbers have just been great. He's just been great. I know the Vikings have an offensive line problem. They're working on their offensive line. I think it will be better than last year. Justin Jefferson is ready to have a Cooper Kupp-like season with how his trajectory is going. His recent film, I see him do this one-handed grab on a deep throw. He's looking like he already is a star. And I think I like their tight end weapons. I like their wide receiver weapons. There was a rookie last year they had that's their wide receiver 3. I like him a lot. I think it's like Godwin or Osborne or something like that. He's really nice. Teams are scared of their run offense. Obviously, with Dalvin Cook, you always have to respect their run offense schematically, which is why Kirk Cousins has been able to perform so well the past 3 years with the Vikings. But I came up with this idea thinking that the Vikings pass defense is absolutely putrid. They had 0 cornerbacks, and I just think the pass defense is putrid. But looking at their depth chart, their defense as a whole are a sneaky defense. Their pass defense isn't as bad as I thought, but it's still bad. They still have a bad pass defense. But I still don't think them having a good defense still doesn't defeat my argument, because I think their pass defense will have a lot of errors still, but their pass rush and run defense is good enough that it will ensure that Kirk doesn't get dominated in time of possession, or the Vikings, I should say, don't get dominated in time of possession, and it'll ensure Kirk Cousins to have the ball. It won't leave them in the final 6 minutes of the fourth quarter with the team just running the ball down their throat, running off the clock. So I think them having a good run defense keeps it so that Kirk Cousins always gets the ball back and allows him to be efficient. And I think their pass defense is bad enough where Kirk Cousins is going to be in a lot of shootouts. He will be in a lot of shootouts. Their pass defense is bad. They have a good run defense, but their pass defense is really, really bad. Kirk Cousins will be in shootouts. We've seen Kirk Cousins do it before. He's consistently a great quarterback in this league. And right now he's being drafted as quarterback 15. Quarterback 15 in like the 10th, 11th round. Pick him up in the 9th round. Watch him finish top 5. And if my bold prediction doesn't come through because it's too bold, he'll land somewhere in the middle of top 5 and top 15, drafting him as your 14th quarterback off the board, but him finishing as the 8th. You're getting your value there, and it sets you up to have a great fantasy year in your prospective league. What do you think as a Redskins fan talking about Kirk Cousins top 5?
I'm glad you said fantasy and none of the NFL. I don't think this is, at least in my opinion, I mean, I wish we could do a poll to see what people think. I hope that, I don't think that this is as bold as the other 3 predictions that we said, because Cousins, I feel as if, unless it's not known, is a top 10 quarterback yearly in fantasy. Whether being ranked at 15 or not.
But he never gets drafted then.
No, he doesn't get drafted.
He always finishes top 10, but always gets drafted 15.
No, you're absolutely right. He doesn't get drafted as such. I think that's a lot of us seeing the outcome of the games in real life, take that into consideration and bring that over to fantasy. But if we're strictly thinking fantasy, Kirk Cousins is a straight top 10 fantasy quarterback in every major statistical category. Whether it's touchdowns, whether it's yards, he's a consistent 4,000 plus yard thrower.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a consistent 30 plus touchdown guy.
I think he'll hit with Justin Jefferson blowing up this year. I think he'll finish wide receiver 1 easily. I think Kirk Cousins is ready to throw 4,700 yards and 39 touchdowns.
I mean, fantasy wise, outside of the household names, the Rodgers, the Mahomes, the Bradys, you could even argue that he'd have a better season than Brady this year.
Kirk Cousins finishing 99 in the NFL Top 100, and Mac Jones finishing 75.
That's another atrocity. That's an atrocity. That's an atrocity. Kirk Cousins throws long in 6 weeks than Mac Jones does in an entire season. Probably not even 6 weeks. Probably 4. Kirk Cousins is great when it comes to play action. Kirk Cousins is one of the top game managers we have.
He's a game manager that has good stats.
Yeah, which means that he's never going to blow somebody out, and he's never going to get blown out. He's going to be in games, which keeps it competitive, which keeps him on the field throwing the football enough to get a contract extension. That's what Kirk Cousins is. And in fantasy, he's enough to win you some games. Maybe not in real life, unfortunately for Commanders and Vikings fans. But
all right, Kings and Queens, we want to keep this video short, not too long. I think it dragged out a little longer than we wanted to. Say hello to Mookie, family dog. What's up, Mookie? He's a little camera shy. All right, Kings and Queens, peace out. Take it easy. All right, that's it.